Hello and welcome to Scotch on the Balcony. This is Balcony episode number 1. Here on YouTube, this is the uncut version. The cleaner edited version will be on Podbean and iTunes. Please get in contact with us. You'll find us on Twitter, Facebook and email. Enjoy. Thank you. Well, hello everyone. I hope you're all good. Welcome to Scotch on the Balcony episode number 1. So the plan was that today's episode that was to be uploaded was the Boston Legal one, but sadly last night I realised that the recording we had for it that was made last year, I actually deleted some of mine, so we couldn't do it. So, and unfortunately Al isn't available today, unforeseenly, so it's just going to be me. Good thing is myself and Al get to do it again in relation to episode 2. Unfortunately you just get to, if you're listening, then it's just me. So first things off, just myself and Al, when we first started this, and we said, look, we'll only watch one episode at a time, record, and not go on to the next one. So I haven't watched an episode of Boston Legal in over a year now. But then the other day I sat down with my daughter, who's 14, a very mature 14-year-old, and way smarter than myself, and we sat down to have a look at it. And here's what I learned. It's still better than anything I've seen in the last year. And definitely the television I've seen during lockdown. This pilot still kicks ass. Now my 14-year-old is something else that I learned from speaking to her, because I had a chat with her beforehand, just explained, some of the characters and stuff like that, because, it is what it is. And we had a discussion afterwards. She really liked it. And even herself, she could connect with some of the characters. So you wouldn't expect a 14-year-old to be able to connect with middle-aged and men and older. And obviously not a lot, but there was some. And one of the things that she, that a 14-year-old gets, which is probably something in common with all of us, is that just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Now, I'm at 45 and I still haven't a clue what's going on. I continuously spend my life looking at people and thinking, what the fuck is going through their pea brains? And I say pea brain because I think that's about the max most of us use, and myself included in that. So, like I was saying, Boston Legal still kicks ass, and even over the years, it's still better than most of the stuff I look at. I mean, during lockdown, I've also gone back to my MASH collection, watched a few seasons, and it's still brilliant. Has it aged? No, I don't think it has. But here's the thing, like Boston Legal, MASH and other similar shows, from yesteryear that I was brought up on, as well as probably closer. So Porridge and Cheers and stuff like that. It's the characters which draw us in. So the people who go, well, that wouldn't happen because we smartphones or blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. I mean, once you have the ability to see through that crap and just see the characters and just see what's going on with them, I mean, that's all you really need to see. And that's the reason why, Boston Legal's pilot, the episode, and the show still stands. Like in the first episode, just because since then a remake of Annie was made, now with a black actress, doesn't mean that the issue that was brought up still doesn't exist, still isn't important. It is. People have been and always will treat each other like shit, So it's the people in these shows that give it heart, and that is the connection. You may not like a character, but if we connect in some way, then, you're in. I always found David E. Kelly could do that as well as anyone. Well, for me anyway. I sometimes feel that new shows, sometimes trying to be something else, trying to break a ceiling or, following or becoming a cause or something. I'm asking you now, please stop. Just stop. Listen, just concentrate on the story. So just try and write honest stuff about real people. And come here, and it will stand the test of time. There will be something there. Look, we're all flawed. We're all really flawed. So, like I said, in my opinion, Boston Legal still holds. Still stands up today. Stands the test of time, as I said. So, if you haven't watched it before, or if you haven't watched it in a long time, go back and watch it. I mean, you should only need one episode to get back into it. It's all my daughter and I needed. Oh yeah, and I played on DVD, right? Because I bought the box set. It's such great. It is great value. And come here. And when your broadband goes down, you'll still have it. Oh, what'll we do with no broadband? But shove on Boston Legal. So, what else have I been doing? Well, another thing that I've done, I've been enjoying lockdown. Kind of back to work on Monday after I'm in lockdown 2 months. And there's a part of me that's not looking forward to going back. Now I work for myself. So I may not have any work. Actually, I don't have any work in for Monday, but at least I can start saying, look, I'm back to work and let's see what happens. I'm enjoying this time, both for myself personally and obviously I'm spending time with my kids, and I'm getting to, as I was telling somebody today, I'm getting to really see the type of people my kids are, both good and bad. Myself and my wife, we've never been one of those people that have defended our kids just because they're our kids. Something is telling me there's a lot of parents out there that are realizing, my little Johnny, a bit of a dickhead. But like I said before, we're all flawed. Kids are no different. So it's something that I'm enjoying doing, and hopefully I can try and continue that. But the other thing I'm getting to do is getting to go back over some things that I forgot about, some old movies, but music is another thing that I've gone back. So, like even this morning, the 2 albums I came across while cleaning the house was David Bowie's 1974 album, which was before I was bored, Diamond Dogs. When you haven't listened to something so awesome in so long, Jesus, it just blew me away again, as if I hadn't, as if it was the first time listening to it. And then the other one I came across was Erasure's remix album, all the way back in 87, the Touring Circus. It's a long enough album, and I listened to it twice in a row. Come here, it really was brilliant. It made me feel young again. And even like last week, I came across what was my first album I ever bought, and it was on tape. Just to show you how young I was at the time. Was Tears for Fears, Sowing the Seeds of Love. And I also listened to, which was my second album, but I now have it on vinyl, which I've now only started to collect there a couple of months ago. Fine Young Cannibals, The Raw and the Cooked. And here's what I'm starting to think. I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe, the majority of the best music that's ever going to be written has already been done. Now, before, when someone starts crying into their keyboard or says, what are you doing about this? No, I said the majority, right? There's still going to be great music written. There's still going to be bands and artists that will pop up and will just write stuff that will, last the test of time. I don't think there's going to be that many. Well, how can there be? Come here, we've got, decades of music. Decades of people, inventing new music. It's near impossible to invent new music at the moment, let's be honest. Most stuff has been done, and most stuff has been done well. Now, like I said, I'm not a music guy. I prefer my movies to my music. But I'm still listening to music, and I'm still listening to stuff that was written many, many years ago. And that's mainly because music, as I said, was never something I was passionate about. And I've only started really giving it time probably the last few years. So, it was an old friend of mine who sat me down about 10 years ago and kind of helped me listen to what was going on in the song, and, and to look into, see what sort of reminded me a bit of when I used to do poetry in school. I didn't do poetry, I was made do poetry. And to be honest, look, there's not been that many bands lately, the last couple of years, I suppose, where I've gone, yeah, I like that, or where I haven't gone, well, maybe that sounds like such and such, and I'd actually do it better. So like I said, not a big music lover, but, I'm finding it hard to, find new music. But maybe that's just an age thing, and that happens to everybody who gets to be a grumpy old man like me. Saying that, though, myself and my son, we do love Tom O'Dell. And my son, he was only 7, just turned 7 the other day. And I do find it hard not to smile when he sings the songs and purposely sings the ones where there's a fuck word in it. I can't help it. And it's mainly because I know he knows what he's doing too. So like I said before I move on, if you haven't listened to Diamond Dogs ever, if you've never listened to it ever, then you probably need to be shot. But if you go find it, or if you haven't listened to it a long time, go and get it. Put it on. Come here. What an amazing album. Now, actually, by the way, that's something, I am an album guy when it does come to music. I have an opinion about that, and my opinion is that a great album is more than just a group of songs or a couple of hits. There's something connecting them, either team-wise or tonally, or just something. And they don't necessarily obviously have to be written at the same time as some are, but sometimes the song that's written 10 years beforehand ends up on an album, and it sits well. But the main thing is, there's amazing music on albums that gets missed, and you'll never hear them as they either weren't released as a single, or they're overshadowed by another hit or something, and it gets lost, sort of like B-sides to a certain extent. And Diamond Dogs is a great example of that. Now, we all know the songs Diamond Dogs and Rebel Rebel and Sweet Things. But the two songs I like even more than that are We Are the Dead and Big Brother. I think, to me personally, again, it's just a personal thing. I just like those two songs better. And I think this is something that is being lost. And it's been lost because of the invention of playlists. So people go onto Spotify, for example, or whatever, find the songs they want. They find the album. Okay, I'll take that song and that song because I know those are hits. Add them onto their playlist. Okay, what else? What's the next one? Playlist. Look at my playlist. And they never come back to listen to the album. Now, let's be honest, that could be a good thing, because not all albums are that good. It's like anything else. Some are good, some are not. Some you like, some you don't. But, there is a lifetime of music out there being missed. And I think what people need to do is just take time. It doesn't take that long to listen to an album. That's one of the great things about lockdown. We all have a little bit more time. Be stressed is, let's not pretend, for a lot of us it's stressful, and for some it's it's even worse. But we have time. And maybe it's something we need to put a little bit more time into. So, like I said, get Diamond Dogs. You may not like it, but you may just find a diamond of a song you never heard before. So, another one, as I was getting ready for this, I was also listening to an Elbow album. And their albums are the same thing. The sum is more than the individual songs. And there's some amazing stuff hidden in their albums too. I have to go later on and find the rest of them. They're somewhere in the house because I have all their albums, bar their latest one. So, but this one was their 2003 one, Cast of Thousands. There's a song on that called Grace Under Pressure. I love that song, and I'd never heard it until I got the album. Now, it may have been released as a single, but that was before I'd heard of them. But because I got into them, went back and bought their other albums and went through them. But all their albums are like that. There's just beautiful stuff. Again, stuff I like. So, if I can give you any advice, and if you take it, more than what my kids bloody do, but listen to albums. Buy a good set of headphones. Give it a little bit of time. I've started now to collect secondhand vinyl. I started the end of last year. This lockdown has kind of put a bit of kick into that. So hopefully when we get back up and car boot sales and secondhand shops are back open again. But that's a conversation for another day. So, what else is going on? So, well, something that boggles the mind. Well, there's a lot, isn't there, if you really think about it. And again, I wonder sometimes how decisions are made and what they're based on. And I also know that from my own, like I'm in the motor insurance industry. Some of the stuff that goes on and decisions are made just, hurts sometimes, and I'm in court a bit as well with my job, and, it's only when you speak to others who know more that you understand sometimes why certain decisions are made by judges and stuff. So, but I'm also not referring to the WHO or Trump or anything like that. It's the small things, and I think the small things can have a bigger effect, especially in our communities and our society, and has a kind of a ripple effect. Plus, on me personally, they keep me awake. So, the one that's kind of scratching away at my head lately is glass recycling. Now, we recycle our glass here nearly all of the time, to be honest. But the biggest pain in the ass is the separating of the coloured glass. You know, and sometimes even deciding what bloody colour it is. Is it brown or is it green? Or what if it's blue? What bin does that go into? Because over here, we've different bin colours. We've clear, green, brown, you know. So you have your bags, and let's be honest, they're mainly alcohol. So, and you have to break them up and, you know, separate them. Now, I try to be environmental and I try to recycle. Let's be honest, most make an effort, but don't. Enough of us try. Probably need more, obviously. But here's the thing: the different bins, it's bullshit. And I was watching something the other week on TV, and it was actually about a thing about the making of Irish Baileys. It was very interesting, but the part that really stuck out was when they showed how the bottles were made. It was pretty amazing, but it annoyed the crap out of me. Not at them, obviously, but at the bloody government environmental people who decided, we're going to have a bin for every colour. That was the way to go. That was how it was supposed to be done. Now the fact is the glass all goes in together. So we're there separating it. Goes into things, but then on the other end, it just goes all into the same bloody bucket, the same truck, and dumped onto the same pile. So, and it's the glass factory, the glass recycling factory then that separates them. Now the process is actually pretty cool, I have to say. They've used magnets to take out the metal, and they use a kind of electrical current that pulls out the aluminium. And then they have another process for separating the colours of the glass. Kind of reminded me a little bit of, I don't know if you've seen the video of, there's a video on YouTube and such where it's shown the apples, the green and the red apples. And they show it in slow motion. But then suddenly it goes really quick. And it's just, it's one of those things you look at and go, oh my God, how did they do that? Well, I do anyway. But with this is the same. But that's not. But it doesn't matter, because the fact the glass just all gets thrown in together, and then the factory they separate it. And I was wrecking my head. Now, usually my wife is one for saying to me, giving me crap when I rant over a small thing. She's go, but even she got annoyed and went. And then I also spoke with my stepmom, because where she lives, she has a recycling glass bin. We don't have that service here. And they just throw all their glass in. So they're all thrown in together. Now, the reality is, whether we like it or not, this will actually stop people from recycling their glass as much. Because it's a bit of a pain in the ass separate. It's not a big pain, but it's still a pain. And let's be honest, people like things as easy as possible. We're lazy fuckers. We want it the easier way. It's easier to put it in our own bin than separate it out. Because especially if, it's been sitting up for a while. And there's 3 different colour bins. And none of them are blue ones from my gin bottle. So, that's a pain in the ass. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. I'm going to send them off an email on Monday. Or off to the Department of Environment or something, just to see what they say. Don't expect a reply, would be my experience with them. But, so, see again, you may be thinking this isn't a big thing. And it's not, but I look at it and go, well, what was the process of how they came to this decision? Like, that's what I look at and go, because I used to do work for the councils, and still do the odd time, and not as much, but in the past, and you see what's going on. It's like, you ask somebody to explain, so why do we do that? Well, that's just the way it's done. And the thing is, we're talking about a lot of tax money here. well, I don't know how much, obviously, but any saving means it can be spent maybe on something else. Something that's may deem to be needed. And I always think, well, surely someone in this process, because we're talking about bins all over the country, so surely someone would have spoken, you would think, to the actual people who recycle the glass that it lands on their floor, and just ask them a very simple question. Now, this would be my simple question. Do you need the glass separated? Now, the answer from the biggest recycling plant in the country would be, no, we don't. No, it's okay. Well, what about metal and stuff like that? No, we've a thing for getting that out. Obviously don't have a lot. We wanted to have it as clean as possible because it makes the system, But yeah, look, so if the people making these decisions couldn't figure out that that was a question that needed to be answered, it worries me. They're still being allowed to make decisions. Kind of reminds me of, there was a contract years ago for the city bins contract. And the company that they went with was a company that also had one of the train station contracts, I think, for keeping it clean and the recycling and so on and so forth. And this same company was found to basically be committing fraud. They had been charging the council over $1 million, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me, could be wrong, but over $1 million for work they didn't do that year. They were done, they got in trouble, and yet here they get a bigger contract, a huge contract. The city bins, and you kind of go, oh, Jesus, was that the same people? And I was speaking to someone. And here's the thing, it comes down to who do you go to get your information off. We're seeing that today with where do we get our information from? So somebody I know kind of worked in there, I remember works in the councils, I asked him, well, how would that have gone? He says, well, what would have happened is, not he wasn't involved, but what would have happened is he would have said, well, who do we go to ask the consultant, right? Who's the consultant? And it's usually solicitors involved. So they go to the consultant, they go, well, who do you recommend, right? They're going to recommend the same fucking people every time. So, you got to expect the same thing. It's a definition of madness to do the same thing again and again and expect a different outcome every time. And so, like I said, these things, they're small things, but they just, come here, just a ripple effect across. Yeah, so like I said, look, we've limited tax money, it's not unlimited, and it could be spent on better things. Maybe like the litter wardens for the wankers who dump their rubbish at the recycling bins. I was there today. This is why it's in my head. And somebody had purposely bagged up rubbish and put other stuff into an actual carrier bag and left it there. Neatly laid, right? And I wonder if if anything's going to happen. Like my wife once got a ticket years ago when she put a cardboard box, she brought her, because she went down with her bottles, put her bottles in, cardboard box, and there was a lot of rubbish everywhere. And she put that box, folded it, put it inside another box. And a month later, she got a littering ticket for, I think it was 100, 150 maybe or something. So we looked into it and it was like, yeah, by her reg, her reg from the other cameras in the area, I'm going. And we kind of pushed them a little bit, and it doesn't look like many people got tickets, maybe one or two others. Trust me, there was that much rubbish down there, Gordon. But the time and effort, Oh, I'm sorry, but you see, rubbish and littering is just something which I have a fucking massive issue with. I don't understand. I need someone to explain to me why you throw your rubbish on the ground. It's not that hard. There's a road around the corner from me, and there's always people dumping shit. And I don't mean littering, I mean dumping shit. So that, if you think about it, that means you have to sit there and think about what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in a bag, going to put it into the car, going to go down later on. It's not a spur of the moment thing. That's bad enough. Just chucking your shit out the window is one thing. But actually thought about doing it. Now, I think I have a plan. And here's my plan, right? So, it needs to be dealt with harder. I'm sorry, but... So, come here. When our child does something, come here. Do you crucify him the first time he does it? He goes, no. You say, hey, that's wrong. We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to say, you know what? Maybe you didn't realise it. Okay? Maybe you didn't. Okay? Maybe wherever you lived before now, it was okay. But you know what? Not fucking here. So we're going to give you a small fine. Right? Give you a small fine. There you go. Right? You're in the book. Right? Now that also holds. So I want you to go back and tell your family the same thing. Because they're all on notice now as well. So you got to tell them. So then the second time they get caught, or their family for that, one of their members of family, right? So if you get caught a second time, all right, we're going to give you community time. You're going to go out, you're going to make tidy towns or something, put in the hours and tidy up. Maybe that'll stop you. Clean up the local park. I have a little park crossroads. That fucking park. It's just like a field. And I remember going over last summer, and I just made the rubbish that was just people just shucked out of their pockets and stuff. You kind of just go, what the fuck are you doing? So this is like a third time. Now you get a fine for that, and you get a third time. I also think you have to pay for the cost to the government for doing all this to you. Right? Like I said, I have a fucking issue with littering bastards. So the third time you do it, okay? We're going to bring up litter chain gangs. Fucking pink overalls or something. You can go around your own town with litter or dumper or something on so everyone knows picking up litter. Now, if you don't learn after that, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. We may have to discuss death penalty. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. Like in our state, we've put up signs for people to say, please stop dumping. Just don't dump your waste food on the green area. One prick, we actually had to put signs outside his house. He still did it. And during lockdown there, we noticed it was happening a bit more. So we got one of the guys on the association. Says, right. So we did him up, beautiful. But outside his house. And he purposely went, just fucking chuck. I went, hey, what do I do? Do we go over and cause trouble? Well, apart from the fact that he's like, I'm not going to lie to you, kicked my ass. He's about 6'7". And I've had a run in with him once or twice. Kind of has a short fuse, to say the least. Doesn't give a shit. So what do? We had another woman who used to leave her leftover pasta. Like, this is supposed to be like, what, the fucking birds going to eat in their pasta? We did another case. Woman actually left over Black Forest Gatto, basically a full fucking cake. Just went, and you kind of go, what? Like, again, what's going through your brain? Do you think this is the right thing to do? This is okay, right? So either do we give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're idiots, they don't know any better, or they say no, they're not, because, like I said, they're in my estate. I know them. I'm not friends. I know them. I've had words, and so they're not idiots. They just don't give a fuck. Man, And this is just a few people out of the hundreds that's in the estate I live in. And they just ruin it. We're starting to get a seagull problem now. Because the seagulls know. And this is the funny thing is, you can see the two houses. There's two houses in the estate, and all the seagulls sitting up going, they're going to give out food. Oh, I don't know. The idiots are just wankers. And here's the other thing. Like, unless the litter warden, which there's like two of, I think, for fucking 100 square miles or something. Obviously exaggeration, but for the whole town and surrounding towns. So unless the litter warden catches them, I'd have to rat them, and then I'd have to give evidence in court, right? Now, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to start that shit with neighbours. It's just serious. Is it worth it? I don't know. Like I said, litter chain gangs, that's what I think. All right, so here we go. Okay, now we're good. We're okay. A little bit more time. So, what else pissing me off this week? Well, we're in lockdown, so I'm sure every time you turn on your fucking computer, it comes up on, you know, here, click here. List of movies you need to see while on lockdown or before you die. Please, we stop clicking on them, and maybe they'll disappear. These people need to stop. Listen, saying that one or two that I clicked in just out of curiosity the last couple of days were interesting, and one or two movies came up I kind of forgotten about that I hadn't seen. I actually have the list here of a few movies that I forgot that I hadn't seen and I really wanted to see. A film called Bicycle Thieves. Haven't seen The Third Man yet. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, or Madre, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. The Conversation. So there's one or two. I mean, there's about 10 that have come up and went, and but generally they're the same. So, like, there was one the other day, 150 films you must see, and I'm going, really? Fuck off, would be my answer. And why am I saying this? And I'm going to tell you why. Because they're not coming from people or from websites who are film or movie based people. They're just media or entertainment websites. They're just chucking shit out to get you to click on it. Like, for years I used to buy Total Film and Empire magazines each month. And it didn't take me long to realise which critics and writers that, were more like me and liked the same things. So I agreed with them, and I took their opinions of whether a movie was good or not, more so because they were more like me. You figure that out. So basically, if they said the movie was good, I usually, when I watched it, ended up agreeing. And then there were others that I figured out, well, I'd still read and take it in, but I also understood if they said a film was shit, well, hold on, I might like it, or vice versa. If they said it was awesome, it was like a 10 out of 10, I probably wouldn't think the same, or if I did, not for the same reasons. But, man, these were good writers, and they did, good articles, and used to love their top 50 lists, like their top 50 scenes, or top endings, or top, and I always felt like these people put in the time and effort. And again, they came from people, this was their job. And they seemed to give a shit. And then, but this sort of shit we're seeing, it's just rehashed crap, and it's usually the same fucking movies anyway. And it just seems to be taking up more and more space, on the screen. So maybe we just, let's just try there. Let's all just stop clicking them, right? And maybe they'll go away. Probably not. They seem to be probably written by the same person. But we can just hope and pray. Now, I'll probably moan about this again and again because, sorry, it's just one of those things. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And myself and I was going to do the same. So, in every one of our balcony podcasts, I'm just going to give my opinion of one or two movies that you may wish to check out between now and our next episode. Look, I'm not going to go into much details. It's not a review, and, you don't want to give away spoilers. So, one that I actually watched there last week, it was on my list, hadn't seen it before, was, I might pronounce this wrong, is Ex Machina, or Ex Machina, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I bought this on DVD ages ago based on advice from a friend, and I have to say, he said to me, you'd love it, and he was right. What an amazing movie. Now, my advice here, make sure you're not tired. You need to be awake for this. This isn't a late night one unless you've got a lot of caffeine and you're well awake. And make sure you're not interrupted. Right? Now, that's my advice for a lot of movies, actually, but for this, it is. This is such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you haven't seen it in a long while, go watch it again. It's brilliant. It's brilliantly shot, brilliant effects, lighting, brilliant performances. And the performance which really surprised me was Oscar Isaac. Come here. Wasn't expecting it to be so good. There was just something about it. I think he just got it right. Just had me on edge all the time. It was brilliant. Now come here, look, everyone was good in it, but you were expecting that, especially from Donald Gleeson. Being an Irishman, we like our own actors, and his dad is brilliant. I think he's underrated. He's a legend, and Donald Gleeson is following in his down the same path, I think. he did a beautiful movie called About Time. I think it was called About Time. It's a romantic bit of comedy drama, but nearly sure, could be wrong. Richard Curtis, I think, wrote it. I was involved in it. It really is a beautiful movie. But this was amazing. And then, but there was that film made me so alert, couldn't go to sleep. And so there's my second one, Memento, which I think is 20 years old, like, which blows my mind away. I think it was 2000. Now, I bought this on a long time ago, and I hadn't seen it. I got it, bought it, watched it. I hadn't watched it in years. And again, if you're watching it, you need to be awake. No interruptions. Only watch it with people who don't talk. I sadly don't have anybody in my life that does that, so I watch a lot of movies on my own, which I like. Again, haven't seen it, go get it. If you haven't seen it in years or a long time, go watch it. Come here, I was watching it. It was like watching it nearly for the first time. Obviously, I knew the ending, but it was still like watching it for the first time. Guy Pearce is fucking amazing at it. I need someone to explain to me how he's not one of the top actors. Everything I see him in, I like him in it. Film may not be great, but him I like. Then again, I used to watch Neighbours, so maybe it's a Neighbours thing, I don't know. But I can't figure out how he's just so good. And everything I see him in, about, I don't know. Like I said, I watched those two movies in one night and I was awake for a good while. The third one, I did mention that my daughter was 14. Now, she is mature for her age. She's a smart one, all right. And like myself, she has a love of movies. I said she gets that from me. So it was my birthday there last month and she asked me what I wanted. So I said, listen, how about we watch a movie of my choice sometime? She said, no problem. Because there was one that had been brought up. And I knew she was ready for it. Come here, I'd already introduced her to Footloose, the Kevin Bacon one, and The Breakfast Club. She did some great artwork actually for her. She's a good drawer. It's around here somewhere. I'll put it up at the end. It'll be on the YouTube, at the end of the YouTube video. So I says, listen, we're going to watch it late one night when it's dark in the attic, in our attic, which is converted with I have a big TV. Now, you may not agree with me, let my 14-year-old watch this, but and my wife wouldn't watch it, and that film is Alien, which I think is 78. Frightened the crap out of her. But she loved it. It still scared me as well. It is just one of the best movies. Again, it's on my top shelf. My top shelf. Now, and I can also say, for those of you who think that Captain Marvel is the first female superhero, my daughter's not one of those, thank God. But for those of you who think that is, you need to go back and see this movie. You need to see this. Sigourney Weaver kicks ass in this. Oh, but she isn't a superhero. Well, come here. Superhero needs a super villain, and this alien is definitely super monster. Like I said, it's one of my top movies. Now, I'd also recommend, if you're getting it, buy the box set. All right, buy the box set that has the making of documentary in it. It's 2.5 hours, I think, give or take. I mean, and if you love movies and documents, I mean, this is one of the best. It's up there. Now, obviously, I'm going to say that, a bit biased. Come here, I'm a Ridley Scott fan, and after John Carpenter, he's probably my second favourite director. I'm not sure, but he's definitely close after John Carpenter. So, they're my recommendations. If you haven't seen them, they're must-sees as far as I'm concerned. Now, on the other hand, if you want something lighter, because it is lockdown, I was trying to think which one to go with this week, and I would recommend Airplane. I also find it a bit funny that this is a movie that's starting to offend a few people. Mother of God, go away. And it's definitely a movie to help with the lockdown blues. Come here, if you've seen it but you haven't seen it in a while, go back and watch it again. Come here. Come here, you got it. It's one of those movies. Come here, once you get into it, and you realise when it was made, and you understand what they're trying to do and the gags that are in it. Come here, you'll go back and watch it again and again, and you go, I don't remember that gag, and that's because you're laughing. So you laugh, and the gag can sometimes be so quick you miss it. So go back and watch it. Come here, cannot but cheer you up. Not one for the kids. There's a few things in it, not for the kids. Now, you also have to remember, look, I kind of like most movies. So, and I also realize that just because I like it doesn't mean you like it. And just because I think it's great doesn't mean you think it's great. But, like I said, if you haven't seen those movies, you need to go watch them. Or if you haven't seen them in a long time, you need to go watch them. By the way, I also have my own list of movies that I've made up that I haven't seen, which I should have. For example, I eventually got around to watching 2001: Space Odyssey. I'm not going to lie, need to go back and watch it again. Maybe a third time. There's a lot of figuring out to be made. But when you realise that it was made in 1968, 1970, around that time, just wow. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of art. Has so much to take in. That's what I'm saying. I have to go back and watch it again. And I have a list like that. You know, that most of my friends think I've seen all these movies because I can talk about them, because I've read about them, and I've, so we all have movies like that. So, how much time? Okay, I have a little bit of time left just to have a bit more of a moan. And like I said, the next balcony episode we'll recommend just a few more that we've watched. So, just a little bit of a moan that came up in something I read today. Not so much about this article, it's about the James Bond thing. So I read this article, James Bond, and your man was given 5 actors which he thinks will be able to change the direction of James Bond to be more in line with today, blah, 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 blah. Now, usually I read these articles and it's like, I've stopped trying to read them because I get angry. You know, especially... Oh. However, there was an interesting one whose name hadn't been shown up, and I actually went, that's a pretty interesting... Yeah, I'd watch that. And that's, I don't know if you know, like Dev Patel, Slumdog Millionaire and stuff. Yeah, I think you could actually make a good Bond movie around him and still stay within the James Bond mold as such. My choices, by the way, would be Henry Cavill would be first and Idris Elba would be second, maybe. Now, I've had conversations about this, and some will go, well, we need to go different ways, you know, with Henry Cavill or something like that, he'd just be the same as all the others. Now, like I said, usually I've had these conversations, and usually they're younger, usually they're, how can I put it, more left, let's say, lefty, and usually my eyes go to heaven. Now, depending on how much I've had to drink, I'll either change the subject and try and run away sometimes, or I just have had too much to drink, I just let loose, and here's why. Okay, we can all agree, James Bond has been played by white, unyoung men, let's say. Yet to say they're all the same is bollocks. They're all different. Are you really going to say that Daniel Craig's Bond is the same as Roger Moore's, Brosnan and Dalton? And then you've Sean Connery's? No. Listen, and probably, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Daniel Craig's, especially Casino Royale. Come here, Casino Royale. If you haven't seen that, it's an awesome movie. You need to go back and watch it again. It's brilliant. In fact, I think it's the only James Bond movie I own. But here's the thing. James Bond is not real. This is escapism. It's a spy. It's something, especially as little boys, we all love playing. We love playing the spy that's going out and saving the world on his own. Who the fuck wouldn't want to be that guy? Wouldn't want to be the spy. Right? And we've obviously seen that a bit more in the latest ones. You know, he's damaged. It's great, but seriously, sorry, I don't know any spies. I don't know any spies who've saved the world. So all these people who are saying, oh no, it should be like this. No, it's a fucking spy. It's supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be real. It might be similar to the world that we live in, but it's set in as I've said before, a different dimension or a different universe where things are different. It's not real. The idea is that you go, you sit down, you get 2 hours of escapism. We see a guy save the world. And for 2 hours or an hour and a half, whatever, you get to forget about the shit that's outside. That's what films are for. Most of them are there to entertain. Please. To those who are trying to change, especially, I'm sorry, and call me sexist, but look, a female Bond is not going to work. And if I have to explain to you why, please go away. Alright? That doesn't mean you can't have a spin-off, 008. I kind of read that in an article before and I went, actually, that's not a bad idea. But don't have this connecting universe as such. Okay? That's not going to work. Make it over there. Make it different. Don't be trying to change Bond. I think after 25 movies, 26 if you include Never Say Never Again. That was actually a terrible movie, but it's still fun. Look, we know what Bond is about. That's it. And if you change him, well, then he's not James Bond. And that's just my opinion on it. Obviously, as a white, middle-aged, grumpy old man. But are you telling me that you can't come up with a new spy that takes another way of it? And there is. Come here. The reason why I said Henry Cavill, come here, the film Man from U.N.C.L.E. Come here, that was such a good movie. It's a pity there wasn't a second. So, I'm going to finish there. So, I suppose my final bit of fun, I would recommend go off and watch a Bond movie, escape into that world of spies and super villains. And I think one of the most underrated ones. And it is so tongue-in-cheek. I think of all the James Bonds, it has got more tongue-in-cheek than any others, and that's Roger Moore's A View to a Kill. So, enjoy. Hopefully see you back here next week. If you want me to talk about anything or get my views on anything, please email, message us. We'll see what we can do. Also, I've taken up a new hobby inspired by some things I've seen on YouTube. I did my first stop motion jigsaw video. It's on our YouTube channel. Have a look and tell me what you think. Hope you enjoy and have a good time and stay safe, everybody. Bye all.